I'm milling about with Jessica Sutton, and she's starring in the film Rogue. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Robin. Thanks for having me.
So nice to see you. Where are you calling from?
Cape Town, South Africa, baby.
Ah. You actually, you grew up there, yeah?
I did. I'm born and raised, and I've been in lockdown since March at my parents' place. So yeah, my whole life is here. But yeah, I do well since the show, my TV series Motherland Fort Salem shoots in Vancouver, and that's now been kind of the last 2.5 years. I've been spending 6 to 9 months shooting. So now it's becoming like I feel a little bit more international. Yeah, but yep, Cape Town baby.
So now, when you were growing up, were you like a safari baby? Did you appreciate wildlife?
No, no. If you Google Cape Town, South Africa, you'll just see probably, and I am biased, but I don't care, the most beautiful place on earth. It's just, you got the best of both worlds. You've got the mountain, you've got the ocean, and everything in between. Yeah, I'm also just in love with the way South Africans are as a people. You've just got this melting pot of culture, language, such diversity, and yeah, it has my heart. It always will. Doesn't matter where I live. And but there is just something about South Africans in general that I think this is what Charlize Theron said in her Vogue interview, and so I'm probably stealing this, but she said it so well when she said that she believes South Africans are the most resilient people she has come across, and I couldn't agree more. I'm so proud to have come from a country and an industry, this local industry, that has forged my grit and steel. And that is something that, as an artist, you're getting a lot of rejections. Yeah, it's really grounded me.
So I guess, Jessica, where I'm leading with this question is Rogue is obviously, the hidden message underneath it is this wildlife conservation issue. So how did the film change your opinion at all about saving the lions?
Well, when it came to the lion canning industry in Africa, I knew about it, but I think the show just puts a whole different light on it. And yeah, it's when I was pitched the show by the incredible director MJ Bassett, and she had pitched it to me as a passion project that her and her daughter had co-written, and she summarized it as mayhem with a message. And I'm like, I'm sold already. Yes, 100% yes. I don't even need to read the script. And she says it's going to be shot on your home turf. You can have your own accent, which is the first time a director had ever said that to me, because I'd always auditioned for parts where I'm either an American or British. So I felt really precious from the beginning. Like this was going to be something special. Not only that it was going to be home and that we were going to be shooting with the incredibly talented cast and crew, South African locals, and and then it had this beautiful message, which was a really important message, for the audience that I guess I'm assuming that you all know, but for those who don't know the canning lion industry, it's basically when lions are bred in captivity purely to be butchered for their parts and then sold to wealthy foreigners as like hunting trophies. And it's disgusting and it needs to be stopped.
Yeah, it's absolutely so,
when I'm pitching it to my friends to go watch this show, I'm like, it's Megan Fox and a man-eating lioness, but it's so much more than that. And yeah, I reiterate to why audience would go see it is MJ's description, which is perfect. It's mayhem with a message, and if the action-packed adventure doesn't grip you, then I'm really hoping that the message of the show resonates, because it certainly did with me.
Now, did you get close to any of those adorable cubs? I mean, were you able?
Did I get close? I will never forget the day. I was so surreal, you know, acting opposite, you know, so I'm looking at Megan Fox. And again, I'm looking at Megan Fox and the incredible cast and crew around me, right in the middle of Africa. And I'm dressed in the schoolgirl uniform, covered in fake blood and mud, and I'm holding a baby lion cub. And I just don't think, I can't top that. I don't know if life can get more surreal and magical. It was quite terrifying because you realize that the creature that you're holding has a mind of its own. It's very wild. And we shot it in such a great conservation farm, Glen Afrique. And their work there is so important. They take in animals that have often been so abused and mistreated from circuses, and they give them some, you know, quality of life. They can't ever be released into the wild, and so they look after them. And it was just such an incredibly safe and nurturing environment. And these animals who had never been treated well, you could see that they were. And when it came to the lion cubs, you know, they were so aware of, they were like, we don't want to put it out there on social media that you're holding these cubs, that's part of the show, because very much like, I don't know if you've watched the Netflix Tiger King.
Yeah. It's
well,
like
there's a thing, right? There's a thing with that of like everyone wanting to hold a cute cub, and that becoming also part of an industry of itself. And it's unbelievably wrong. So, you know, holding this cub, it didn't feel right, but it also felt like within this context, within this environment, and for the importance of the film, it was one of those moments I'll never forget ever. But yeah, I also have great respect for animals. I can't imagine anyone wanting to hurt an animal.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand that, but you know, but yeah, so I think I will tell you, we stayed in these beautiful chalets, and my chalet that I had was underneath the pen, like a baby pen for a wild and young leopard. And every morning, cup of coffee, I would just be seeing these very intelligent hunting eyes looking at me, you know, and I'm going, what is my job? What is my life? This is amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
You gotta really respect them with a lot of admiration, but you know, a little far away.
And I think the show was like really focusing on the conservation message. So when it came to, you know, choosing the animals to work with and the farm that we were shooting on, it was very clear that, you know, the farm that we were using, all the animals were treated well, and it was very much in line with the film.
Cool. So, so let's talk about Megan Fox, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Did you guys become like besties?
We got tight. It's so strange to say that. I can't, like, my friends go, oh, she's worked with Megan Fox, like name drop, but I've also got more than just the face to the name. She's just so lovely, so professional, so kind, so generous. We had such a great connection. What a privilege to, I pinch myself thinking about my career. I've had the most incredible ensembles that I've worked with. People that you would never meet ever, in what world? And yet, you know, I guess that's the glamorous side to this industry. Are the people that you meet from all walks of life. And yeah.
What was the hardest action scene, Jessica, that you had to film? Because you got down and dirty in this.
I did. And I went from like warrior witch on my show to terrified, trafficked schoolgirl uniform covered in blood. It was very strange. And the character grows into her strength. She doesn't start there. And then that's also such a great, such a great character development. But I think the hardest challenge was the oneer take that I did, where my character has to run through the house, and she's trying to escape these men that are trying to kidnap her. And I'd never been so challenged, and I love a challenge. MJ was like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it one take. And you're going to, run from this room to that room, and you've got to do the timing because different people were emerging at different times. So it was hard. But she knows me that's kind of what gets me going. Because I'm like, if I've never done it before, I want to do it. So I want to say 8 times, but somewhere between the 5th take and the 6th take, the door jammed, the door that I was supposed to close. And I just kept in the scene, like this man's coming for me. So I'm, and the door broke. I literally put my foot through it and we kept going. And I think at the end, she was like, that's the take. That's it. We got it. And it did. It made the film. It was the door. And I couldn't believe she put that in, but she wasn't kidding. So at the end, I think that was the most technically challenging bit. And also that was just so much fun. I'm so proud of that. I've always wanted to do a oneer, but I think the grueling bit about the whole shooting experience was definitely the month and a bit of night shooting. That's really gonna screw your body clock up.
I bet. Now, before you go, I do want to touch on Motherland Fort Salem, which is having a new season. Yay. Okay. So here you are, an old woman, right? At the end of the finale. What's it like to wear that kind of makeup and to look in the mirror and see yourself that way?
Robin, it was so, okay, so now I have to take it back. I gotta take it back what I said. Okay, so the oneer was probably the most technically challenging, but then I would say also wearing that prosthetic, because I'm not generally, I would say I don't have a problem being claustrophobic, but when your skin can't breathe, and your skin, I learned from the prosthetic artists who were amazing on the show, they were saying, oh, your skin is the biggest organ. And I'm like, really? They're like, yes, it needs to breathe. And while they were putting these layers on my face, and it's incredibly difficult to put prosthetic on somebody who is like me, very full-faced, and they work. If you've seen, I'm now forgetting, Doug Jones. He's he's a famous actor, but you would probably not recognize him walking in the streets because he's generally the guy in prosthetics in films. He is always playing the creatures, Pan's Labyrinth, and Hellboy. And so he's famous. And, actors generally who carry the prosthetic have to be of a certain structure, very thin, and because they're having to be padded. And I couldn't believe the challenge that they had to make me old, because turning a young person old is hard. You can't use too much makeup, otherwise it looks theatrical, and you can't use too much prosthetic, otherwise it looks chunky. And so it was just this. And then the first test, which was 8 hours in the chair, I had a reaction, like a full-on emotional attack. Like I couldn't breathe, and I wanted to just rip the stuff off my face. And the studio and Elliot was like, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, don't want to be a baby about this, but this was just a physical, I couldn't do. I was trying to meditate through it, and then they were like, we're gonna do something, we'll fix it, we'll do something. And they did. They worked with fewer pieces, a little bit more makeup. We got the kind of sweet spot. I did tons of meditation, and we got it. We did it, but it was hard. And there was also a weird moment where, because they put me in this helicopter and I'm screaming and doing a lot of crying. I couldn't feel anything, just a tightness, just a pull of my face. Every time I opened my mouth, it was the makeup moving. So distracting, not like, okay, I have to be in this moment. I'm doing my work. But I guess no one can tell you that until you're in it to know how that affects performance. And Lynn Renee, my incredible co-star, she's such a titan, and I remember her coming to me and she's like, Jess, use it. Use everything that you're feeling and just give that to the performance. And that was one of the best pieces of advice ever. Because, yeah. And I'm going to go back into it. Season 2.
All right. So looking forward to that.
So yeah, I'm kind of going, okay, at least I know what to expect. But yeah, really, it's tough. But looking at it, I'm going, it looks great. It looks great. So that's it. Doesn't matter how it felt on the day.
Did you look like your grandmother?
Okay, so the face was kind of, because the whites of the eyes, right? This is something that they can do in post, but the whites of the eyes and the whites of my teeth were what was kind of staring at me out through the makeup. But when I looked at my hands, my little bitty hands, I just saw my grandmother. I was like, I don't want to look at my hands. My hands are creeping me out. And they're so good at that. So they put like this mold, and then they will paint veins, and then they will spray paint, and they'll do layers and layers and layers to make it look almost also papery. You know how old people's skins almost like have that paper quality to it, that it could rip if you held it too tightly. I have such respect for that kind of level of artistry. I don't know how they do it, and they have to do it like with 4 hours, you know, and what the test took 8, and it's like, okay, now you have to do it just like that, but like half the time.
Cool.
My mind blows.
Well, young and beautiful you are now, Jessica Sutton. Thank you so much for joining me.
I just think about that Lana Del Rey song, Will You Still Love Me When I'm No Longer Young and Beautiful? I know the fans are saying, well, does she stay a biddie? And I'm like, hey, so what if I do? Will you still love me?
I think they will.
I hope so. Thank you so much for your time and your questions. It was great talking to you, Robin.
Same here, and stay safe, okay?
You too.
All right, take good care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Always new. Always refreshing. Always candid. Always milling about. Robin Milling delivers what celebrities are saying to you.